Hey guys, welcome to part 4 of our series on recreating Ableton's beat repeater device in Reaktor. In this video I want to add a couple of buttons to our interface, and I'm going to start with the No Triplet button. And what this button does is it restricts the options that are available to us when we're using the grid knob, and specifically it's going to disallow any value that is not a power of 2. So for example, 256 is 2 to the 8th power, so that's fine. 128 is 2 to the 7th power, so that's fine. 96 is not a power of 2, so when the No Triplet button is on, we want to make it so that the knob cannot select this value. So to do this, I want to create a new macro. And we're going to use selectors to change the incoming knob value. So our knob is just a value from 0 to 15. And we're just going to send that value directly to the macro output if the No Triplet button is off. So if the button is off, we're just going to treat things the way we always have. So we'll create the No Triplet button, and that's going to control the position input of the selector module. Alright. And we can just turn off the frame for the macro and move our button over here. And we're going to use a second selector in case the No Triplet button is on. And so we're getting this value from our knob that's from 0 to 15, and we're going to eventually use that value to read from a table. So what we're basically going to do is just disallow certain values here, and we'll just, if we get one of those values, we'll just edit it to be one of the values that we are allowing through. So if the grid is equal to 0, the grid knob is equal to 0, we want to send an output from the knob that's also equal to 0, because at that point in time we're selecting the value of 256, which is fine. And also selecting a value of 128 is fine. Like I already mentioned, 96 is not a power of 2, so in that instance we're just going to shift up and pretend like the user selected the 64th selection instead. So we'll just give that a value of 3. And again, we don't want the 48th. We want to just pretend that they chose 30 seconds at that point. So we'll do 5, 5. And the next two are going to both be equal to 7. So you can see what's happening here as I'm just skipping every other number in our selector table. And this pattern is going to repeat all the way until we're finished. So we've got 2 that are going to equal to 9. We've got 2 that are going to equal to 11. We've got 2 that are going to equal 13 and 2 that are going to equal 15. And so this is just restricting the values that we can read out from our multi-text module and from our table inside of Core. Alright, so these values will be chosen when the No Triplet button is on. And we can test this fairly simple. Just wire it in, and we'll actually see the values in the multi-text change when we're using the No Triplet button. And that's actually one way that this is going to be slightly superior to what Ableton has going on, is that when the No Triplet button is on in Ableton, it doesn't actually give you a correct reading using the grid knob. Not a huge upgrade, but small. Alright, so next up I want to create the repeat button, which allows the user to manually trigger stutter glitches on their own. So I'll create a new button and name it repeat. And this will trigger a new stutter glitch that will stay on until the button is pressed a second time and turned off. So in order to do this, we're going to have to do a few things here. But the first thing we're going to do is simply take the value from our repeat button and send it directly to the core cell, and let the core cell know, hey, we're repeating right now. So I'll use a merge module to merge together with the hold that's already controlling the playback value. Now, the second thing we want to do is we want to stop the hold from being triggered when the repeat is on. So we'll use a router for that. And this is going to stop any values from traveling through when the button is on. So we'll only let values through when the button is equal to 0. All right. And next up, I want to do the same thing for our record hold module down here. So we can only let this get triggered when, again, when our repeat value is off. And the second thing we want to do, or the last thing we want to do with this, is we also want to trigger the hold, the second hold module, when the repeat button is turned on. Alright, so what's happening there is when I turn the button on, we need to record a little bit of data. So we do need to trigger this hold module. So I'm going to use a separator module. And when the value is greater than 0, we'll trigger an event to the hold module. We can merge these together. Separator might not even be necessary now that I think about it, because the hold module can only be triggered by positive values. At this point in time, things should work. Let's test them out. Some of our settings are a little weird, so I'll take a moment to tune those in so we can hear exactly what's going on. Alright, so at first that didn't sound like much, and it's a combination of a few factors. First of all, the grid was really short and the decay knob was up, so the sound just decayed into nothingness really quickly. And in addition, we had the mix mode on, which meant the original sound was still playing, which just made it kind of hard to hear what was going on. But once we fixed those, you could tell that the effect was mostly working. One thing that didn't work is the first router we placed is in the wrong position. So what happened one time was the hold module got triggered, and after that I turned on the repeat button. And then the hold module sent a value of 0, which got sent through and turned the repeat off, even though I hadn't turned off the button yet. So in order to fix this, we're just going to change the position of the router and move it to after the hold module. This should fix our problems. In the next video, I'll be adding the filter to our beat repeat device. Thanks you guys for watching. Have a good one.